Hey guys, in today's video, we're going to have a look at the distributive law, which is used for simplifying algebraic equations. And we're going to have a look at a few different examples for how this distributive law can be applied to simplifying these equations. So, firstly, let's have a look at the distributive law. It can be represented in the following way. A outside of b plus c is ab plus AC. And if you're wondering how we get to this, you can see that it's achieved by multiplying the value outside the brackets A with each of the terms within the bracket. And that's why it's called the distributive law, because the value outside the brackets is distributed across all the values within the brackets. Let's have a look at a really couple of basic examples of how this can be applied. So let's say we have 5 outside of 2s minus 4. If we were to redraw our lines in order to expand these brackets, the first component is 5 times 2s. So the value outside the bracket multiplied by the first value in the brackets, then plus 5 times the second value in the brackets, which in this case is negative 4. So we're left with 10s, so 5 times 2s is 5 times 2, multiplied by s, 10s, and the second term is plus 5 times negative 4, which is negative 20. Negative 20. Which we can, of course, simplify as 10s minus 20. So I left the middle here as a plus, but you can quickly see that you can replace it with a minus when you have a minus in the second component of the brackets. We could have skipped a couple of steps. So let's look at another example. We'll move a bit more quickly through this one. M outside of 7m minus 2. So here we have m times 7m times, minus m times 2. And here I've just used the minus in the middle instead of in the last term. But you can, of course, do it like we did the first one as well. M times 7m, 7m squared, minus m. So that's what we're left with. Sorry, beg your pardon, minus 2m. So that's what we're left with. And that's the answer for that simplification. Let's look at one more quick example. 5x minus 2 minus 3x minus 10. So here we have the same thing with a little bit more simplification to do afterwards. So this time, I hope you can see quickly, after a couple of examples, that this is 5x minus 10. First component, 5 times x. Second component, minus 2 times 5. That's what we're left with. And by writing out the rest of the equation, we can then collect like terms. So here we have 5x minus 3x. We're left with 5 minus 3, 2, multiplied by x, so 2x. Minus 10, minus 10. So negative 10 minus 10 is, of course, negative 20. And that's our answer. And there's another way to simplify this even further if we like, by using factorization to take out the highest common factor, but we'll discuss this in a later video. Now, there's one extra component of the distributive law, which I'll show you in a second, that can be used when, let's say, you have multiple terms outside the set of brackets. So let's say we have 2 terms outside of the bracket. What would we do here? Well, we could rewrite this, if we like, as the term outside of the brackets. So here we're referring to just the second set of brackets as the brackets. And we're just referring to this as the term outside the brackets. So we could have the term outside the brackets multiplied by the first term inside the brackets plus the term outside the brackets, a plus b, multiplied by the second term inside the brackets. And then we can use the distributive law a second time in each of these cases. So we would end up with AC plus BC for the first set of terms, which is value outside the bracket C times the first value A plus the value outside the bracket C times the second value B, AC plus BC. And we can do the same thing for the second set of brackets, would result in AD plus BD. So if we just rearrange this a little bit differently, we can see we're left with AC plus AD plus BC plus BD. And if we rewrite our set of brackets out the front, we can see that we can actually get these same values. Essentially what we did is multiply the first term in the first set of brackets with the first term in the second set of brackets, plus the first term in the first brackets with the second term in the second brackets, plus the second term in the first brackets multiplied by the first term in the second brackets, plus the second term in the second brackets multiplied the second term in the second brackets. So it's the same thing. So we can skip these middle steps, and this is sort of the extended distributive law. So let's really quickly do a couple of examples using this. Let's start out with x plus 3, or multiplied by x plus 1. So here, if we draw our lines to help remind us what we need to do, we're left with x times x, x squared, plus x times 1, x, plus 3 times x, 3x, plus 3 times 1, 3. Then if we simply collect like terms, we'll see only x and 3x can be added together. X plus 3x, 4x, plus 3. And that is that equation simplified or expanded using the distributive law. So let's have a look at another example. X plus 3 all squared. Wait a second, this looks a little bit different. But recall that when you multiply a number by itself, you can also refer to that number as itself to the power of 2. So here we can simplify this to x plus 3 multiplied by itself, x plus 3. And now we have an equation that we can apply this distributive law to. If we draw our lines again to help remind us what we need to do, we've got x times x, x squared, plus 3 times x, plus 3 times x, 3x, plus 3 times x, 3x, plus 9, or 3 times 3, which is 9. And once again, collecting like terms, we're left with x squared plus 3x is 6x, and we're left with plus 9. And that's that one. And let's do one last example to finish up. 3x minus 1 outside of 2x minus 2. So here we're left with 3x times 2x, 6x squared, plus 3x times negative 2, negative 6x plus negative 1 times 2x, negative 2x, plus negative 1 times negative 2, which is positive 2. And collecting like terms, 6x squared minus 6x minus 2x is minus 8x, and plus 2. And this is our answer. And there's just one more important thing to be mindful of when you're simplifying algebraic equations using the distributive law, and that's just that a positive times a positive results in a positive value. So 2 times 4 is also positive, is 8. A positive times a negative, and a negative times a positive is always negative. So negative 2 times 4, negative 8. Negative 4 times 2, negative 8. And of course, a negative times a negative is always a positive. The two negatives cancel each other out. So negative 2 times negative 4 is positive 8. So that's just important to be mindful of when using the distributive law. You'll often come across cases where you need to be mindful of these basic multiplication rules. So thanks for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed. Please leave any other questions in the comments below, and have a good one. See ya.